Welcome to the Business Mindset Podcast, where we document the stories of Black entrepreneurs around Canada. I am your host, Nina Barango, and together we will explore the world of entrepreneurship through the journeys of our incredible guests. Let's get started. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Mindset Podcast. My name is Nina Barango, and today on the pod, I have Tombra. Hi.
Hi, Nina. How are you?
I'm good. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Tombra, and I am the founder of Tonye Munchies. So we specialize in gourmet baked goods, and our key product is our baked chin chin.
Let's go!
I heard about your thing. I was like, why is she baking the chin chin? Like, is it a health thing, or is it like, why did you decide to bake the chin?
I think for me, it was a lot of like different factors. I wanted to still enjoy like our snacks, but I wanted it to have a bit of a healthier twist. Don't get me wrong, it's still a snack, it's still sugary, but there's that element of, you know, we're eliminating the oil, right? And I just wanted to do something different. Do you know what I mean? Because typically chin chin is very tough, like really hard. Like a lot of people don't eat it as a result of that. But I found that when I baked it versus when I fried it, I reach more towards the baked one, and it's a lot more, it's more cookie-like. It still has a crunch, it still reminds you of home, but it's just it's more softer on your tooth, yeah.
Yeah, I tried it once and I was like, oh, okay. Like,
yeah?
I'm not mad at it, but I was still very curious, like, why? But let's go back. Like, when did you decide, first of all, when did you decide to launch Tonye's Munchies?
So I started this when I used to live in Ireland. So I moved from Ireland to Canada in 2019. So I kind of just really stumbled into it, if I'm being honest. So the truth of the matter is I bought a TV in my room. And like in the evenings, I used to just watch baking videos. Like you just watch TV to relax, right? But I found that I used to gravitate more towards like baking videos. And I was like, oh, I want to learn how to like make meat pie. I think I said I wanted to make it for Christmas or something like that. So I used to just watch videos. I'd watch different one. I'm like, oh, I like the technique that person did here. I like the technique that person did there. And that's really how it started. And I remember I would just bake. My friends would have it. And, you know, they would be like, oh, this is nice. And at that stage, I was also looking for something else to do outside of like my 9 to 5. So I was like, oh, they said this thing is nice, so you know, maybe I can just stumble, maybe I can just dabble into that, and then that's really how it was born in 2018. Yeah.
Honestly, there's no better validation than like your friends telling you this is nice, you should turn it into your business or something.
I was like okay.
So in 2018, you said you started in Ireland.
Yes.
And then you moved to Canada when?
I moved to Canada in June of 2019. The 30th of June. So it's just gone 5 years. So before I even started it, I'd already decided that I was leaving Ireland. But I was just like, oh, I have this idea. And I was like, oh, maybe I should just wait until I get to Canada, you know. Acclimatize into like the new environment and everything. And then I started. I remember I having a conversation with someone. They were like, just start it. You know what I mean? You can learn in the process here. I started it and it really just kicked off. And I got scared. I was like, I'm not sure I want to move anymore. Because it was doing really well. And I was like, okay, I have to start my life all over again. I also have to start this business again. What if I don't get the clientele? What if people don't love it as much as they do in Ireland? So there was also that fear as well. But I was like, I'll just try it. And here we are.
Wait, that's actually very like, for lack of a better word, brazy. Like you moved to Canada and you immediately started restarted your business here?
I took a few months off. So I started,
okay.
I remember, I think the first time I put up a post just doing like a change of location was like October, I think 4th of October. So I had like July, August, September, like about 3 months. Yeah, to like get a house, get a job. You know?
But did you know anyone in Canada before you came? Because I'm just thinking to myself, like you moved here, you got a house, you got a job, and then you restarted your business.
So actually, funny story, my friend, myself and Allison actually moved here together. She's right here. So we moved here together, and then my sister lives here. So my sister and her family's here. So that was a bit of like, it gave us a soft landing as well too. It was still very daunting, but having someone to also experience the same thing you're going through together, that helped because it was like the shared experiences, right? And then also having family here, you know, you're set, they show you the ropes on things like that. So that also helped as well too with acclimatizing. So yeah.
Would you say that you took any like specific steps, especially changing locations for your business? Because like you said, you had launched in Ireland, it was picking up, you were getting clients, people were loving the product, and then you had to do it again here. Did you do anything different this time around? Or?
I actually did. So I remember when I first moved, and I'm like, okay, I think I wanted to just bake for like my niece and my nephews that day. So I was like, oh, I'll make chin chin. So I remember I made chin chin, and it was horrible.
The baked one or the fried one?
Oh my God, it was so bad. I actually like was crying. I was like, oh my God, where am I gonna start from again? So I also had to relearn everything because ingredients are different. The butter I used, everything was just different. Flour is different, the butter is different. And I used to also make meat pies. When I first made it, it was not nice. It was so greasy. I'm like, I'm not doing it. So initially when I started, I just started doing the chin chin. Actually, when I was back in Ireland, I used to do only meat pie, chin chin, and I did sausage rolls as well too. But I scrapped the sausage rolls because I didn't like the meat here, especially like the sausages. And then with the meat pie, I didn't like it at first, so I scrapped it. I was then like, oh, I feel like I should introduce more things to the menu rather than just, I scrapped sausage rolls, I've scrapped meat pies, let me just introduce something else. So that was when I started doing like brownies and cookies. And I remember when we had just moved into our place, we were doing like a housewarming, like games night type thing. You know, we're trying to make friends as well too, right? Because we moved into a new country. So I was like, okay, let me try making meat pies again. I did. This time it turned out better. I was like, okay. I invested in I just used like a much better quality meat. So it turned out better. So I was like, oh, maybe I can bring this thing back again. So yeah. So I think just to summarize everything, I had to really relearn a lot of things and then understand the structure here and just slowly ease my way into it. Yeah.
Okay, so what year does that bring you to
So
now?
this was 2019.
2019.
So this is 2019.
Okay.
2019, and then I'm like, okay, I know how the ingredients work here now.
Right.
I need clients. But I'm like, okay, I'm new in this country, right? So it's also that thing of just people that are around you, tell them about it. Maybe there's if I'm hosting people, I would bake. You know, that's really how the word kind of spread. And yeah, I just started building as it is now. Now people find me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, we're you've definitely come a long way from testing out products to looking for customers, and now you're operating out of commercial kitchens. How did you get here?
I think I was open to learning because it's very daunting. Sometimes you're just like, oh, I don't know where I'm going to start from, so I'm not going to do anything.
Right.
But I wanted to push past that because I have big dreams for this brand, right? So I'm like, okay, you need to come outside of your comfort zone. You need to learn. I remember randomly, to this day, I've never met the person. Someone sent me Foodpreneur Lab, their details. They were like, you should apply for this. I'm like, I remember the first time I applied on literally at the deadline. As I was about to hit submit, it said that, it already gone, it already closed. So I waited for the next one and I applied to it. So I think taking that program definitely, like, it made a lot of difference to me because I was able to learn, and you were also learning with people that were trying to figure it out at the same time. So you didn't feel like dumb, you didn't feel stupid, you didn't feel awkward. Like, it was like, okay, these are like shared experiences and you're learning, and then having that avenue for people to, like, you know, invest in you, pour into you. Because if I wanted to get, like, you know, like a bookkeeper, or like get someone to talk to me about like finances or commercial insurance, or tell me the ropes on how to find commercial kitchen, I'd be spending a lot of money.
Right.
But these things I was able to, you know, it was all covered. So I think that definitely played like a pivotal role in where I am now, because it made me step outside of my comfort zone. So yeah.
So what exactly did the program entail? Was it like one of those boot camps that you pitch and then they give you funding, or like what was it like?
So it wasn't so with Foodpreneur Lab, they actually kind of like gear away from saying incubators program, because sometimes a lot of them are very volatile, or like some of them are paid. This one was like fully funded, so we got to.
Oh, you didn't have to pay for it.
No. I didn't have to pay for it, yeah, because the amount of money, that's what I'm saying, like the amount of money I would have spent if I actually wanted to have access to those people, like it would be crazy right now. So we had like calls every, I think it was like maybe twice a week or something like that. So every week we would have a professional come in, we had someone from marketing, we had some like food scientists, you know, packaging, people talking about like commercial insurance, all those things. So like every week we're introduced to people as a group, and then we also have like one-on-ones as well too. So that really did help as well too.
Wow. And what year did you have this
This
program?
was in 2022.
Okay.
Yeah, 2022.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think I saw like as part of like the, correct me if I'm wrong, but like as part of the Foodpreneur thing, I think I saw like there was a time where you kind of had to do like a baking show, or like a food show.
Oh, the production.
Yeah, the production.
Yeah.
What was that all about?
So that was at the end of it. So like all the cohorts, again, that's still like an opportunity for you to be able to show yourself and put yourself out there. We got to work with like videographers. If I wanted to pay out of pocket, that would be very expensive. So after
it was all free.
Everything was all covered. It was amazing. It was truly a godsend. So yeah, we got to like talk about our brand, you know, have that video production. You can use it on like your website, put on your page, you know, it speaks to you as well too. And then through Foodpreneur Lab, I also got the opportunity to like, you know, to be able to do a lot of things now, you know, there's that access. So some things that you probably have to like pay for, it's maybe like subsidized, or like it's you know, it's on the house. So that program was definitely very, very helpful.
Interesting. Yeah. And does your business have to be at a certain point? Because I know there's a lot of like incubator programs that for you to enter, like you kind of have to meet a threshold of like, let's say you're already making, I saw one recently and they were like, you need to make an annual revenue of $30,000. And I was like, in my head, I was like, if I'm making $30,000 a year, I wouldn't be here. Like, I have bigger things to do.
Exactly.
Instead of like pitching. But was it similar? What was the entry for someone that might be thinking of entering? What was the process like?
So there's two stages. So you can do like a start stage or like a scale stage. So start stage, maybe like you're at ideation phase, or you're at a stage whereby maybe you've already started, but you're just still kind of like figuring it out as you go. And I feel like I felt under that category. Okay, granted, I'd been doing it for a while, but I was still in new terrain. I knew what I was good at baking, but I guess I didn't understand the business side of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you need to have both of them, you know? It's not unless you're ready to fork out that money and pay someone to manage that for you. So I applied under the start phase, and I got it. I don't think the application process was very stringent. I don't think they asked me about like what I made. It's also that thing of like, what is your product? What are you looking to launch? You know, and then it was also like specifically like Black owned as well too, because they wanted to highlight Black businesses. You know what I mean? So I don't believe the process was very stringent. So I think they asked you for like what you've been doing, how long you've been doing it so far. Show them your website if you have one, or like, you know, whatever way you show yourself online.
Right.
You know, show them, and then they probably ask you like, do I remember when I applied, then they did like a follow-up type like interview, you know, met with like the program manager, and I found out I was accepted, and then we started the whole process. Some people started it and they didn't finish it, but it's just down to how bad you want it, right?
Right. So, no, I love that, because something you said that I really love is that a lot of people start out their business from something they're passionate about. For example, you love to bake, and then obviously you started a food business that's based on baked goods. But something a lot of those people don't understand is that you might have started as a passion, but now it's a business, and you need to like get the business knowledge you
100%,
need to grow and scale. But even if you're still thinking of keeping it small, mom and pop type, you still need to figure out how to remain like there, like how to still be relevant to your
100%.
customers, how to connect, and how to like either meet the demand or create the demand for your business. Would you say that like that program, after that program, what was your mindset going into, coming out of that program?
I wanted it bad. I think I wanted it before, but I feel now I'm just like, okay, you've been given these things, you've been introduced to these things, so like you don't really have an excuse anymore. It's like, are you actually going to do this thing, or are you just going to keep on making excuses? So for me, when I did it, I always say to them, whenever I see like the Foodpreneur Lab team, I'm like, I wish I could start again, but with the knowledge that I have right now. Because at the start, when I first started, it was very daunting. A lot of things were going over my head, because I'm like, I don't know. I was like, what's a commercial kitchen? How do you get the food handlers? All this type of thing. So a lot of things were going over my head at the start. So I don't think I really grasped it as much. But like towards like the middle of it, I was like, okay, let me actually commit to this thing and actually take it seriously. So I say to them, I'm like, I wish I could start again, but with the knowledge that I have. I am open to like doing, I'll probably apply again under like the skill program. So when that's like when your product is like ready to launch, like it's store ready, you're ready for like investors, all those type of things. So yeah, I'll probably do that.
And especially with food, do you know what? It was only till recently that I found out that first of all, you need a license to cook, especially when you're selling the food. Because I had just been used to people like cooking out of their homes and out of their kitchen, and obviously as Nigerians, your friend would just tell, you should sell this thing, or cook for me. Or first of all, you start from cook for me. Then when the food is really good, it's like, you should sell this thing, but keep my own free shop. But then, and so they just going, okay, I'm really good at this thing, let me sell it. But then there's, especially in Canada, especially with food, there are steps you need to take to actually be
100%
legally in business. Do you want to talk about some of those things that you needed to do?
Yeah, I think the most important thing to say is that I'm not just going to say, oh, work from a commercial kitchen, right? Everybody starts from like working from home. It's true when you're working from home. For the most people, that's when you find that passion for it, right? So start from it. That's where I started from. I think also another thing I have to give credit to Foodpreneur Lab for is the fact that they literally like made it mandatory for us to have those things. They're like, if you want to do markets, if you want to be introduced to markets, I'm sorry, but you have to have your food handlers. You need to have your commercial insurance. You need to have coverage for up to $2 billion. You know, you need to make sure that the liability isn't shifted on you. If you are going to, you need to register your business. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes we do start it. I think it's perfectly okay if you want to start, you know, get the hang of things. Start it from your home or wherever it is you're working from. But always think about the next step. Because a lot of us start and we're just so comfortable. We just want to stay in our comfort zone, want to stay in our bubble. But we don't want to like take that next step towards it, right? So if you want to, if it's a thing whereby you're saying that, oh, I want my product to be in Costco or No Frills or Walmart, it's not going to be there from you constantly cooking or baking at home. You have to take the next step. You have to invest in yourself. Granted, you know, there's like that monetary, you know, sacrifice that comes with it because you have to pay for all these things. But in the long run, it definitely does pay off. So I think for steps, I think for me when I first came and like, you know, I was like, okay, I'm ready to actually do this thing now and start it again here. So register your business. At first, I just registered my business as a sole proprietorship. So that just means like the liability is shared with me. So everything, God forbid anything happen, but like people will come after Tombra, not Tonye Munchies, because Tombra and Tonye Munchies are the same. So I did that, and then last year I decided to make the move to actually incorporate the business. Yeah, so Tonye Munchies is a totally separate entity from Tombra. I also got a commercial insurance. So I make sure that if I'm coming to like a commercial kitchen, everything is covered. I got my food handler certificate. And then also, like if you're applying for markets and stuff like that, they'll probably ask you for like letter of like indemnification, all that kind of stuff, just to make sure that, you know, wherever you're going to, you're covered. If someone is trying your product, say whatever, they get sick or whatever, they like if they want to take legal actions or whatever, it goes back to like, you know, the incorporation. Like it's a thing of shifting the liability as well too, because if someone comes after you, could go after your house, it could go after you, like it's just not worth it. So it's an investment. It's daunting. At first I was like, I'm not sure I want to do this, but like once you do it, you just keep rolling with the tides, and it's fine.
No, honestly, like it's very daunting to take the next step, even when you're literally forced to. Like 100. It can still be. Because I remember when my business Sopla got a grant, and then to access the grant, they were like, you need to get these documents, and I was like, what is this? Like, I was just operating by myself, like under my little sole proprietorship title, like, you know, and then like everything they were asking for was literally pushing me out of that comfort zone. Like talk about the insurance, all the letters, all the things. And I was just like, slowly but surely we figured it out. But at first I was like, okay, Nina, don't you want this money? Like, and sometimes it's not even money that's the motivator. Sometimes it's just like, don't you want the next step for your business? Do you forever want to remain small? And if you do, that's fine. Like, you know, do your thing. But like, I find that a lot of people, before they even start, they're already scared. And granted, it's scary. But I have found that it would pass. Like, you would literally, like, one step at a time, get all the documents. You will figure it out. And soon you'll be looking back and be like, wow, that was crazy. Like, exactly. Can't believe I have to do that.
Yeah, just take it one step at a time and just start it. That's literally it.
But you mentioned that the Foodpreneur Lab introduced you to markets. Like, what kind of markets? Like, how did that work?
So they had like, so most times, because it's like an NGO, right? So people, they're also in the food industry. The founder has been in the food industry for like a number of years, right? So they have access to a lot of this information. People would probably come them and be like, oh, we're looking for vendors, or maybe there's something else that's coming up. It's that thing of then they would then share that information with us, and then people who feel like they want to apply for it, they can do it. If you do apply for it, then they also screen you. So it's not like once you apply, you get it. They also need to screen you as well too. So I got access to like Stacked. For you to be in Stacked, like even to like rent it, you're paying like thousands of dollars, but Foodpreneur Lab got like a storefront in Stacked. You're able to showcase your product, you know. So a lot of things that you would typically have to pay for out of pocket, a lot of those things are like, you know, subsidized and fully covered. So you'd be a fool not to, really. So for markets, I think my very first market I did was Foodpreneur Lab was with Stacked. And I was just like, okay, how do I start this thing? I have to go buy a table. I have to go buy a POS. I have to go buy, you know, all those things. Like, again, like I said, it is very daunting at the start. But outside of pushing past the fear, also doing your own, like, groundwork, right? Do your research. Like, just a quick Google, how to set up a vendor market, watch videos. People share their experiences as well too. You can't say you don't know something if you haven't tried to look for it, right? If you haven't tried to find that information. So yeah.
Do you know what? People don't read anymore. People
just want to be spoon-fed.
Literally, in the words of the queen, I don't know if she's the queen, but like, people don't want to work anymore. People don't want to
Nobody wants to work anymore.
Nobody wants to work. No, even when you provide the information, people don't want to read. They want you to tell it to them.
Exactly,
and then when you
how
tell
you
it to
did
them,
it.
you still need to break it down. And I'm like, that's not how you grow, unfortunately. But let's talk about money, because I saw your post about spending money on renting a restaurant, paying vendor fees to prepare for these markets, and still not breaking even or making a wild profit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
PTSD.
I'm screaming. No. I'm actually screaming because when I saw that, I was like, this is wild, first of all. But it's something common. Like, it's something I hear from a lot of, like, small business owners. Like, we spend so much on these markets, preparing for them. Yeah. But when we get to the market, we don't actually get the return on investment. Yeah. What would you say... are you still in that space right now where you're struggling with that, or are you now past that?
I'd say I'm probably, maybe if I'm being honest, maybe in the middle.
In the middle.
Do you know what I mean? I think for me, granted, I went through that, but I also tried to find, the lesson from it. My lesson was for me to do my due diligence more, not just follow the hype, not just say, oh, this organizer has a following of 20K. So that means everybody's going to come to that market. You know what I mean? So doing my due diligence, like I always say to people, if you want to do a market and this is your first time there, try and go through their page, see who has also done markets with them before, especially when they're in the same industry as you. Ask them questions. Most times people are willing to help, but you have to make the first move sometime. You can't say you're shy and you want your business to grow.
Right.
Sorry, it's not going to happen. So you need to step outside of your comfort zone. So I think doing your due diligence definitely helps. And then also relying on your community, I think, was also very helpful as well too. Because sometimes I feel like, okay, yeah, I'm the face behind this brand, but like the community also carries it on their back type of thing. So I think it's that thing of if you've done your due diligence, you've seen that, okay, this market might be a good fit for me. It's your first time here, test it out. Don't just go in and expect to like rake it in. If that happens, that's great. But always try and like use it as a learning curve as well too.
About prepping for this market, I know like the costs around that, like getting a kitchen to cook out of or to bake out of, or even just other prep. How much on average when you're preparing for your typical market on average, what are the costs that you would typically incur?
Okay, so for like, I'd say if like it's twofold. If you're doing a market for the first time, you have to get everything, your POS, your table, all those kind of things. So it's a lot more costier. But let's say this is like you're in the swing of things and you've done it on multiple occasions. So it's a vendor fee for the market, and then in my case, I would then come to prep for like, come to the commercial kitchen to bake. So let's just say I do like a 6 or an 8 hour shift. So that could range from like $200 to like $300, depending on what market kitchen you're using as well too. And then maybe just like miscellaneous things. Maybe I might need to get like tester cups, those kind of things. But for the most part, I already have everything with me. I already have my banners. I already have, my like visual setup. So I don't need to invest in anything on that part. So really, it's just about like paying for my vendor fee, maybe my transportation to get there, if you have to factor that in, and then also you just have to worry about maybe just miscellaneous spending, and then obviously you have to buy your ingredients costs as well too, so buy those things.
So what's your typical profit margin like at a market? Because now you've listed out all these costs. Let's say you sell half the things you take there. Is that typical? Like you typically sell about half?
It really depends. So that's why, so like for example, the last market I did, it was the first time actually using that spot. For me, I was just like, I just want to make back my vendor fee, and I want all the perishable items that I'm breaking. So for example, like the cookies and the brownies, I want all of them to go. The likes of Chin Chin is a shelf-stable product.
Right.
So I don't need to sell it on that day. Obviously, it'll be nice if everything's sold out. But surprisingly, like the cookies, the brownies, they all sold. So that was very handy. I only had a few of the some of the Chin Chin flavors left. So it really just depends for it. Sometimes you can make like 50% margin, you can make like 100%. It depends what you put into it as well too, right? So yeah.
Fair. And then like, I guess, are there any, like obviously you're at a market, I'm assuming the organizers are promoting the market to get people there, but are there any things you do on your part to like promote that?
For me, I really rely on like my community. So people are like, oh, my clients, but I'm like, this is literally my community. Like I said earlier, like these people are very much invested into these things. I'm like, I don't know why, but I guess they see something there as well too, right? Yeah. So, so there's also that. So I do my part. I put the word out, talk about it, and then also on the day off, I make sure that I do like a setup whereby it's like, okay, this is how you find me, those kind of thing. And then also I would maybe like do like pre-orders. I'm like, okay, I pre-order for during the week, and then you can come and pick up at the market. So it also incentivizes you to come out as well too. But really for the most part, just putting the word out there, and yeah, just rely, like community just also helps as well too. People that I've never met before, but I know their username on like social media, they be like, oh, I'm this. I'm like, oh, I've seen your photo before. They're like, oh yeah, I just saw that I saw it on your Instagram that you had a market. So I live close by, or I'm downtown today. I just decided to pop in. So yeah, that happens.
I really like that, because like I've heard so many stories around like people, people signing up for markets, being a vendor at a market, either getting lost in the crowd of other vendors, or I think one of my friends was even telling me of a time that she paid so much to be at a pop-up, and then the person right beside her was taking all the business from her, because like people would see that person first. By the time they get to her, they've already spent like...
Positioning matters, and then also like in my case, mine is like food, so I use testers as well as a way of bringing people in. It doesn't always translate into sales, but it's also that thing of put something in like your mind, especially if you're trying the product for the first time. I tell you, they're like, maybe it might like ignite a memory and be like, oh, this reminds me of something from my country, or this reminds me of something that I had before. I tell you about the product. You might not buy anything then, but like maybe at the next market, or you see me, you'd be like, oh, I remember I tried this again, let me buy another one, So it can be hard, especially like maybe like there's another vendor who's more sought after. But I think really for me, I just try to do my part and not focus so much on those other things. It can be one person today, it can be me the next time. So I'm not too fussed about it.
I really like your approach to it, because it's really telling on how like you kind of more so working towards the long term, not like the immediate reality.
Exactly.
But so when you're typically prepping from this market, you book a kitchen.
Yes.
How often do you need to book the kitchen to?
So if I wanted to, I do batch produce for the most part, but if I'm like, because outside the market for me, the markets during the summer are just like a supplemental thing. Okay. I have like, my regular clients, people that regularly order from me. So there's that, like, I'm like, so for this month, I know that I'm very busy. Outside of markets, I know that I'm also busy. So I kind of have to do double the work. So I have to like batch bake for, if it's like the chin chin, of course, if it's other baked goods, that has to be done on day off or like the day before it's being collected. So it's really just about time management. If it's like maybe a slow month, then I can just maybe come to the kitchen one weekend, do an 8-hour shift, and I have all my inventory that I'll need for my market. Maybe I'll probably have some as well for individual for individual orders as well too.
But I know that from June, July till about October, September, October is like very busy. Everybody's like having a pop-up. There's so many markets to be a part of. So how often do you have to book the kitchen to use then?
So I tend to book it in advance because commercial kitchens, especially commercial kitchens that are bakeries, they're very much sought after. So like people are trying to get in as well too. So for this booking, I booked it maybe like over a month ago. You know, now I already know that this month I need to, all the stuff I'm baking today, that's already been accounted for. I need to come back to bake again. So I need to book it for like, you know, maybe the week after or like the week, 2 weeks ahead. So you just have to be strategic. If you're looking to book it like the day before, it might get a slot. I mean, it's like a time that's not ideal what you would typically want. Yeah.
Right. Honestly, like I'm so like wowed by like how much planning goes into like, you know, prepping for whether the market or your regulars, and like learning about like the shelf life of chin chin.
Yeah.
So how long did it typically last then when you batch produce?
So chin chin has a very long shelf life. With the fact that it's not baked, the fact that it's not deep fried, it also increases the shelf life.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah.
I thought it was the other way around.
No, because the oil that also affects the taste. Especially for a long time, it has like a rancid taste afterwards, right? Deep fried chin chin would probably have like a shelf life, because I've looked at it on like other packages. Deep fried chin chin would have a shelf life of maybe like a year. I still stick to the 1 year mark, but I've sent all my stuff out for like food testing as well too, just for them to actually ascertain, give me the exact figure as well too. But I typically just say the 1 year mark, because
I didn't know you could actually send stuff. So is it like a lab somewhere
it's a
in
lab.
Canada?
Yeah.
And then they just tell you, are they the ones that do that
nutritional information?
Right.
You can do that with them, but that's mainly like data. You can get that online yourself. But for me, I was just like, okay, let me just do everything. I don't want to take on that work as well myself too. Let me just do everything. So you can send that to them.
You know, I just assumed people made that up. Like,
no. You put everything in.
Interesting.
That's why you have to be. So for this, I can't just freestyle and say, okay, let me use 1 tablespoon of sugar today, or I'll use 2 tablespoons. You have to be consistent. Else, number one, like the taste of your product, it'll fluctuate.
Yeah.
You know, there's no like consistency.
Right.
So in order for you to get the accurate nutritional information of your products, you need to make everything down to a T. So if I'm sending stuff up, I need to give them the total, like the ingredients down to, if I'm putting a pinch of salt, tell them exactly what it is. So that will give you the accurate data you need.
You just reminded me why I don't like baking. I'm more of a freestyler. I'm more of a like, as the spirit leads. And then what's up now, like having like baking commercially for people.
Yeah.
That means like even on the days where you don't have salt, you have to like.
You have to have salt.
Right. Interesting. No, that's very interesting. I guess I'm a bit curious now, moving away from like the commercial space that you bake out of and like what you do in the markets. Outside of all of this stuff, what are some things that you've personally faced, like in terms of challenges with growing your business? What are some things that you have faced that like have been, let's say, difficult to overcome?
I think sometimes it's having to wear multiple hats. I really struggle with that. And then also I'm at the stage whereby the business isn't, you know, at the stage whereby I can like, fund my life, exactly. So I have a 9 to 5, and then I basically have 2 full-time jobs. So having to depend on, I need to be more strict with like my time, and then also making out time for people as well too. That can be challenging because, you know, you have your day job during the week, and then during the weekend or like in the evenings, that's the time you have to focus on your business. So there's also that element of like intentionality, you know, put in like people that are important to you, making out time to see them. You know, it might not be the way it used to be, but like still like checking in. I would say other challenges would be maybe if you're looking to do something new, and you're not exactly sure of the approach to take, having to figure that out, be like, okay, how do I actually gain insight to this, being connected to people. I think sometimes is because I'm very much on the introverted side, so I tend to just like stay in my lane, but this business has really caused me to like,
come out.
You need to speak up.
Yeah.
Closed mouths don't get fed, right?
That's true.
So it's really caused me to like step outside of my comfort zone, because before I feel like even just doing like a brief of myself, maybe 2 years ago, the way in which I used to handle things, I would be more reserved, I wouldn't do certain things. But now I'm just like, you have to do it. Going to markets, I would just stand there and just be like, oh, hi. Maybe if someone comes to me, that's when I would talk to them. But now I'm like, oh, hi, how are you?
You have to go out.
Compliment them. Oh, I love your earrings. I love your dress. I mean, it's true, but like, it's still, it's true, but like, it's still a way of like breaking the ice as well too, right? So I think that's also like challenging.
I honestly like, I found that like entrepreneurship, like, especially for introverted people or people that are not typically social, they're shocked how social they're able to become when they push themselves out of that comfort zone. And it's like, you have to, like, there are only a few people that have said, oh, I didn't have to be the face of my brand, I didn't have to put myself out there, and we're still successful.
I tried to do that, but it doesn't
Really?
work. Yeah, I tried. Before, when I first started, I'd be like, oh, I just want you to order. You don't need to know who's the person. Maybe it's when you come to pick up your stuff or I'm delivering, and I'd be like, oh, Tombra, it's you? I'm like, yeah. But you have to show your face.
Right.
Like, yeah. I think you can do a lot. You can get ahead a lot quicker.
And how were you able to assemble a team that helps you, especially on the weekends or when you're in the kitchen and you have to do like this bulk type producing?
Honestly, my family and friends are just amazing.
That's why you have to make out time for them.
You know? I always say to them that I'm going to do a Sarah Blakely on them, and I'm going to do 10 times more, because they've truly been riders. Like, even from when I first started back in Ireland, I remember I would bake throughout the night. I would bake from like overnight, shower, go to work, like not sleep, my friends still helping in every way they can, because they're not particularly like, bakers. Right. Like, okay, Tombra, how can I help? Having people to also help as well too. And then there's also that element of people, even without, because I find it very hard to ask for help. So I'm just like, but you're suffering, but you just don't, you're there suffering. All you have to do is just ask for help. So I think also like getting that strength to also ask for help as well too. I want to get to a stage where I'm able to like, have like a team, employ people, put people in payroll, all this kind of stuff. Like, I'm working towards all that stuff. But like right now, it's just still on that sowing phase, and people are really showing up for me. So I do appreciate that.
I love that. Yeah. Honestly, like, it's uncomfortable asking for help. To me,
I'd rather bend.
I'd rather just like crumble under the weight of the work I have to do, because like, to me, it just sounds like, okay, I can't do something. And there's nothing I hate than feeling like I can't do something. It's this hyper independence that we weirdly almost all business owners just imbibe. And they're just like, okay, this is my dream, this is my passion, this is my vision, it's only me. But the truth is that you will burn out. And if you don't burn out because you're a superstar, you won't be able to
It's lonely.
It's lonely.
Very lonely.
You won't be able to meet demand, because like today you've probably done like how many batches?
Yeah, if I was here by myself, I'd probably still be on the first flavor, but now we're working on the third flavor right now, right? So just having that support definitely goes a long way. And I don't take them for granted at all.
Shout out to your family.
Shout out to family and friends.
Okay. I mean, do you want to tell us a bit about the plans you have for the future for Tonye?
Sure. So I'm at a phase. I'm actually doing like a total rebrand overhaul right now. So I feel like, my current look has really served me for like the last 5 years. So I'm like, okay, on to the next step. So I'm working with like a brand designer, graphic designer, working on like a new look, new branding, everything, website coming. And then hopefully in the near future, I think once I'm getting all my data from like the food scientists and stuff, have the new look for like my labels, new look for labels. And then hopefully we'll be in a stage where I'll be able to launch in stores as well too. And then dream goal would be I would like to like actually be able to like focus on the business solo, like leaving my full-time, full-time, not solo, not just me. No, like being able to like actually like commit to it, because right now I feel like there's some times whereby it's like, oh, but I have work, so let me just do this at like a slower pace, or let me do it, you know, in a smaller scale. So being able to actually like fully commit to the business as well. So I would like to do that. And then I really want to have like a storefront. Working towards that, God willing. Yeah, so you have like a little cafe, come in, have your chin, get some coffee, get your other baked goods. Yeah, I really like that.
That would be so cool. Yeah. Like imagine walking into a coffee shop and there's chin.
Exactly. And do it for excellence. I don't want to just walk into some place that is just there in the corner. Actually stand out, right?
Yeah, actually stand out. Yeah. Okay, well, I definitely look forward to coming back on the podcast and seeing the new space. Amen. And like seeing you in stores, like, because now you're going into stores. Back in the day when I came to Canada, you couldn't find plantain chips at No Frills. Exactly. But now there's plantain chips. There's even ripe on ripe.
There's chin and
there's
No
even
Frills.
chin. Yeah, I actually saw it once and I was like, huh? Mm-hmm. And then like, but then it's all obviously like still the exception. It's still like maybe just one brand.
Yeah, I don't want to be known as just the person on the international aisle. I want my product to be where the other products are.
You went to the aisle, like you know the international aisle though.
No,
like,
that's not what we're working towards.
And it's crazy because back in the day there wasn't even an international aisle. Yeah. Like you had to go to the African store. You had to bring it from Nigeria. Yeah. And now like. We've come so far, but there's so far to go.
Now people know what chin chin is. Like I'm like, most times I'm not even focused. Like obviously the goal for the market is to do well, but like if I go to markets as well, get to talk to people. I'm like, okay, you don't want to buy anything, that's perfectly fine, but I want you to try this. Yeah. Now you know what chin chin is. So they're like, oh no, they're a bit hesitant at the start. I'm like, this is literally like a cookie. Yeah. It's just a different way. Like all our products from all across the world, everything is all linked because it's still the same core ingredients. It just has a different name that you're not used to. Try it, now you know what it is. So next time you go to a store, be like, oh, chin chin, I know what that is. You know, that's really my goal. Get the product out there and like not just be boxed in across like our demographic or our community. I want this to be an international brand and an international name.
And it will be, and I'm looking forward to it. Yes. I love the product awareness. I love the brand awareness. I love what you're doing with your brand. Thank you. And what I love the most is that today I learned how to bake chin chin.
Not saying every day.
Not saying I'll recreate because again, I'm more of a guesstimator. I like to
Don't worry, I got you. That's where I'm here. Take away the stress from you, and I'll do it.
Yeah. I love that. And before I let you go, you've given so much advice, but if there was one piece of advice that you give to someone that, let's say, just moved to Canada, right in your shoes where you were in 2019, trying to start something in the food space, what would you say to them?
I would say, just start.
Period.
Literally, just start. We overthink things too much. Sometimes we're our own problem. Procrastination. We strive for excellence so much. We procrastinate so much that you're even being bad at procrastination because you just keep putting it off. Oh, I'll wait until just literally just start. I just started. I remember to this day I haven't taken it down. I remember I just went on Canva one day. I just wrote Tonye Munchies and I was like, that's my logo.
Period.
That's literally it. And I was just like, okay, I'm doing this thing. Like, it's not easy to like get like a clientele, but like start from like doing stuff for people. For me, my community was also my church. I used to like bake. Maybe if we had like young adults like meetings after the main service, I'll be like, oh guys, I brought some stuff. I baked for them. They tried it. Be like, oh, Tombra, this is nice. I was like, oh, I actually do this for like, I'm actually doing this on the side as well too. Yeah. So just start, grow your community, and also show up. If you're starting stuff and you're like, oh, nothing is happening, but are you actually doing the work? Right. So also like do an internal like audit in yourself as well too. Also check in on yourself, okay, what way can I do better? And reach out to people as well too, There are people who like at this stage now, I might not be at a stage, sometimes I feel like, oh, I don't know if I should be the best person giving you advice, but people are coming to me, so that also shows that I'm doing something in the right direction as well too, right? But lean on people who've also maybe in the same like work, in the same sector that you're in, and you're like, okay, I like what this person is doing. I would like to, get to this stage at some point in time. Reach out to that person. The most they can tell you is literally no. It's not gonna kill you. You just need to have tough skin sometimes, but just start. And just
I love that.
Slowly invest into it. If you're gonna do a business, if you make a sale, don't spend the money and go buy personal things. Reinvest back into your business.
Absolutely.
That's it. It's very important.
You know what I forgot to ask you, which was like literally on the nose, was like the Tonye in Tonye's Munchies. Is that your name?
No.
Where did it come from?
No, it actually isn't, but I feel like it should be my name right
At this
now.
point.
Yeah, because
I was shocked when I found out that your first name at least wasn't Tonye. I was like,
no.
So who is Tonye then?
No, it's not. So Tonye is literally from it's an Ijan name, so that's my tribe.
Right.
So I asked because I don't speak my language, unfortunately. So I asked my sister to give me names. I wanted to name the business after my mom, but there wasn't a direct translation to her name. I wanted to call her mom. My mom's name's Grace, but there wasn't a direct translation. So I was like, okay, give me names that are centered around God. So she gave me, I think, about 5, but Tonye just stood out to me the most. The full word is Tombra Muje, which means the will of God, what God has created. So I remember when I went to create an Instagram account, I was like, Tonye, but it's actually people's names, right? So it's already been taken. So I was like, oh, Munchies, and it just rolled. But yeah. My name is not Tonye, but you can call me. It's fine. Yeah.
Fair. No, I love that. I really love the advice you gave. Honestly, a lot of times we hear from people saying exposure doesn't pay the bills, and that's right. Exposure does not pay the bills
At the start.
Yeah. But it would help you grow your business presence. It will help you connect with people that might turn out to be lifelong bill payers.
Exactly.
That's how you look at your customers.
Yeah.
It will definitely help you to test your products, get feedback, and become better. But where you're at now, at a point where you can charge what will pay the bills.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, while I agree that exposure does not pay the bills, not starting also does not pay the bills, and not
that
getting
part
people does not pay the bills. So sometimes you have to start, you have to take action, and you have to try. Be willing to try. I think that's what I hear from your story a lot. Willingness to try, willingness to learn and start over, willingness to just start. Really. That's what I take away from my conversation with you. And honestly, I've had such a great time.
Thank you.
Being surrounded by lovely
Thank you.
scents and aromas. But
thank you.
before I let you go, where can people find you?
So you can find me on Tonye Munchies. So that's TonyeMunchies on Instagram. Our website is under review right now, but it will be up soon. www.tonyemunchies.com.
Oh, sweet.
Thank you.
Love that. And we'll put the links down
Sure.
in the comment section of the description box for anyone that wants to check it out. But thank you.
Thank
Tombra,
you.
And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Once again, I am your host, Nina Barango, and we'll see you next Monday.
Bye.